Welcome, everybody, to Taking Control, the ADHD podcast. I'm Pete Wright. There's Nikki Kinzer.
Hello, everyone. Hello, Pete Wright.
Hello, Nikki Kinzer.
Oh, I hear my dog. Do you hear my dog?
I do hear your dog.
There he is, protecting us.
That's right. You must have some sort of a mailman emergency, or a trash is being picked up.
Yes,
something really threatening.
Yeah, very threatening. Yeah.
All right, so we had somebody write us, and they had a podcast idea for us, and this is one of their. Do you have it in front of you? Do you want to read it? All right.
Yes, I do. So this is what was asked. Or suggested, I should say. I had a podcast idea in case you needed one, and we always need them. So yes, please give them to us.
Yeah.
I have had a hard time figuring out what to do with all my children's art projects and how to organize, store, and save them. Throwing them away is so hard that I find myself keeping piles and piles of projects, and I don't know what to do with them. However, I know I can't continue to keep all of them unless I want to devote an entire room in my house, which who wants to do that? So there you go. Pete Wright, this is a digital episode.
It is a digital episode. What do you do? Do you have a strategy for dealing with kids' work?
Gosh, I do. And quite honestly, in the last year or so, it's sort of fallen apart a little bit. So I'm kind of excited to hear what you have to say about this, because I have not actually gone digital with my kids' artwork. What I do is basically at the beginning of the year, they each have this bin that has their name on it. And as they come home with school projects or corrected work or art or whatever, it goes into this bin. And it's a pretty big, it's a pretty good sized bin. It's not one of those storage bins, but it's bigger than just it's kind of like a scrapbooking bin, I guess is probably the best way to
sure.
think about it. Like if how you have those square pieces of paper for scrapbooking, it's kind of a little bit bigger than that. So it doesn't carry really oversized stuff, but it definitely carries the majority of what they bring home anyway. And I basically collect things into that bin, and then periodically, at least by the end of the year for sure, I go through it and I decide which ones I want to keep and what I don't want to keep. And so I kind of decide, what's most important. Either if I always like doing kind of that before and after, kind of where they started at the beginning of the year and then how they ended up at the end of the year, kind of seeing that progress of work. And then, there's certain pictures that they do that just are really sweet, or they mean more than just this, scribbles and stuff. So I kind of decide what I want to keep. And then, and this is where I've fallen behind, quite honestly, is I used to scrapbook a lot, and I just haven't had the time to do it. But each child would have a scrapbook of that year. So my son would have, first grade, second grade, and then I would put these special things into that scrapbook. So I did physically keep them for the most part. If something was too big, then I would take a picture of it. I've been known to take a picture of it with the child. My son made this really cool poster of a state, and he had to find all these facts about the state and everything. And so I have a picture of him with the poster, and then eventually my thought, I have not done this yet, I will admit it, but my thought is that picture will go into some kind of scrapbook, right?
Sure.
So that's what I've done. And, for the most part, it's worked pretty well, just because I am actually, I can let things go pretty easily. I mean, I don't have that need of keeping everything. I have a pretty good eye of what I want to keep that represents them at that time. But man, if there's a way to go more paperless on it,
well, sure, there's a way to go paperless on it.
Of course
there's a way. I'm with you. There was a time when, we had giant piles of kids stuff. In fact, I think we still have a giant pile of kids stuff in a closet somewhere on the bottom shelf of something that I just haven't gone back to. But our current process that we've adopted is working pretty well, and it involves your favorite and mine, Evernote. But there are, once you kind of hear the way we think about putting, kids' projects in electronic form, you can adapt it to, any service or file hierarchy on your computer that you want. So here's what we do. We see that there are two real high-level categories of work that comes in from the kids, right? There's stuff that I want to keep, and there's stuff that they want to keep. Right. Mm-hmm. And that's something we've run into, and we don't talk about that a lot, right? Which is, the stuff that's important to my kids that they want to keep. Usually we just think, well, the kids did cute work. I want to keep it, and I'll keep it in a pile forever and ever and ever. But there is stuff that's important to my kids and that they want to keep it. So we start with that split. Like if there's something that they want to keep or I want to keep. The stuff that I want to keep, the top level category there is the stuff that I want to keep and display, right? There is a very small number, a small percentage of the work that comes in that is stuff that I think is just particularly adorable, a cute piece of chalk, art or glue art or something that really is something that I think adds a lot of warmth to my life and to our home. So we'll put that in a frame and we'll actually display it. And it won't be displayed forever, but for half a year, for a year, whatever, until they sort of outgrow it and move on to another, into more and better work, right? We'll keep that around. For everything else, we go through this sort of triage process where we say, look, if there's stuff that's important to us that we want to keep around, but we know we don't have the storage space to keep it all, we're going to take pictures or scan it. Now, we've really gone with the iPhone. I've got the iPhone 5S, and it has a stellar camera on it, particularly for documents and artwork like this. And so we just kind of get over it. We hold it real steady. We take a picture of the piece and put it into, and I use the Evernote document camera. So you open Evernote on the iPhone, and there you can start a new note by taking a picture. And I just tap camera, and I take that picture, and it goes into Evernote. Now, once it's in Evernote, I have it's important so that you can find it again to title it and tag it appropriately. Now, I try to keep my tags as simple as possible, so the title will be the grade and the name of the work, right? So I can see that it's Ode on a Grecian urn, 6th grade, and I will tag it. Say if it's my daughter, Sophia and artwork. So those two tags, Sophia and artwork. Now, occasionally she'll bring home a test that she did really, really well on, for example, and she'll have some work that she's really proud of that's not artwork, but it's homework. And I'll keep that too. I'll scan that and I'll put it in there as Sophia, tagged Sophia, and homework. And the title will be, 6th grade, math test. And so that way I can start cataloging the work of the kids in Evernote, and then I get rid of it. I get rid of the originals. I've got the photos. They're uploaded to the Evernote cloud, and they're there for me to keep.
I have a question.
Sure.
And this is definitely a question of a non-tech person, but as you were talking about Evernote and you were talking about, how you scan them and tag them and everything, is it ever possible to have too much stuff in Evernote?
You mean
documents
can
and stuff?
Evernote handle it? To the point where you're going to break Evernote?
Or just either Evernote or your computer. if you're putting all this stuff in and you think about your kids, they're going through at least through 12 grades, right? And I mean that eventually you're getting a lot of stuff on this program. Does that matter?
No. Not for, I have never run in, and I've run into people who, I work with people who have a lot of notes. And when I say a lot of notes, I mean 100,000, 200,000, 250,000 notes or more. Evernote, there was a time I think where the desktop application was a little bit cumbersome and would get kind of thick. It would start to slow down. It would feel, but they've fixed that, and I haven't run into any issues. Now you do end up with this issue. I mean, Evernote's their mentality here is we're going to save everything. We'll help you remember everything, and part of the challenge that comes with trying to remember everything is that it has a really great search field, But when you search for sixth grade, you'll come up with everything related to sixth grade. And so that's why, these tags are so important to really help you. And you can add other tags if you want to sort of categorize within tags. Like I said, I use sixth grade in titles, but you could use tags for sixth grade too. Tags for Sophia and artwork and sixth grade, and then you have that class of work really easy to find just by browsing your tags. So that's one way to do it. But in terms of the practical implications of loading data into Evernote, I haven't run into anybody who has, who has really been slammed by too many notes.
Good. Well, and actually, you just sort of reiterated why the tags are so important. I need to get back on doing these tags.
Yeah, tags are important, particularly in this case, because you're going to be loading in more data.
Yeah.
So that's the second class of stuff that we keep. The stuff we want to keep and store, we put it on Evernote. And then finally, the third category of stuff is stuff we toss. We look at it, we appreciate it together. They tell us the story. And stuff they're not so thrilled with that they want to keep forever. Stuff I'm not so thrilled with, we want to keep forever, and we toss it. Mm-hmm. So that's step one. But what about the stuff the kids want to keep? And this is new to our system. We live in sort of a digital age, and if the kids want to keep it, we have a fork here in our process. If they want to keep the original, say they make a sculpture of some sort, or a mask or something that they bring home, or a painting or poster or something. If they want to keep it, say it's already met my criteria, and it's been on display for 6 months, and I've taken a picture of it, it's in Evernote, and I feel good about where it is in my system. They have the responsibility, if they want to keep it, to find a permanent home for it, right? Mm-hmm. That's their job in their room. It can't be anywhere in the rest of the house. If they want to keep it, they store it in their room. And, they get the sense of the cost of space.
Oh, interesting.
Right, when they make choice.
When you did this, do they then rethink about everything they want to keep? Or
yeah, we're getting there. I mean, they're still new to it. But I'll tell you, the part that is most powerful for us is that I created an Evernote account for each of my kids.
I was going to ask you. Yeah, that makes perfect sense. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and so I'm an Evernote premium user, so I pay, and so I have one of the features that you get as a premium user is that you can log in and out of multiple accounts. You install Evernote, the application, and you can just a little handy drop down, and you could say, I'm Pete Wright, but in just a second, I'm going to take a picture and upload this photo, and I want this to be in my daughter's account. So I can just click this drop down and jump over to my daughter's account and see all of her notes, and I can add notes for her as well. And so, she can access it on her phone. She can take pictures on her phone. I can access her account on my computer and upload notes. I tag it and catalog it the same way. So if it's stuff that they want to keep, but they don't want to keep the original physical piece of it, then, we've set up and worked with the kids to set up this hierarchy so that they can start their own lifelong Evernote library.
That's great.
And we also include things like, their report cards and, all the stuff that, one day, when your mom hands you this giant box, it says, hey, I kept all of your report cards from when you were in the second grade. Here they are. Well, now I can just, make sure she has a password, and that's her digital hand-me-down box of all of her schoolwork. So
wow.
The difference is she's living in this school box now as well. She accesses it on her phone, and my son has an iPod Touch, and he accesses it on his Touch as well. And he is actually zealous about organizing and keeping his stuff in order so that he can find it. And so that's what we do. That's how we walk through it. And I think the biggest muscle that we had to work here is being able to let go.
Yeah, right.
It's that sense of knowing that, the kids put so much work in this and they let it go. But I think what works about this process for us is that we're all a part of that decision making. Right? That we get to say, there are decision points where we get to say, you know what, you guys did great work here. I love that you did this. Thank you for bringing it home and sharing it. Here's how I'm going to keep it, right? I'm going to keep this digitally, or we're going to hang this on the wall, or here's how you get to keep it. You get to keep it,
How are are they keeping theirs? Do they have like a little filing cabinet, or do they have a box or a bin, or how are you doing that?
They figure it out. Sometimes it goes on display on a shelf. Sometimes it goes, they have their kind of lower bookshelf, and they kind of slide it in on this bookshelf. At some point, they're going to face the cold reality that their shelf is no longer big enough, and. There you go.
Well, and your son may even take it a step further if he's already got kind of that organizational mind frame of, well, wait a minute, I want to separate first grade from second grade.
Exactly.
How am I going to do that, Dad?
Right. He's totally moved on. Like, he's so excited about just the fact that he has this organizational structure that he doesn't want to keep much anyway.
Yeah.
He's pretty much done. So
it surprises me sometimes, doesn't it? Like what they do want to keep and what they don't. Like, you think that they want to keep something, and then they're like, I don't care about that.
Yeah, totally. And yet they want to keep this ball of lint that they've been holding on to for 6 months.
Because that is so important.
Yeah, right. So that's it. That's our process. I hope this helps. Whoever wrote in, I don't have her name here, but whoever wrote in, I hope this helps.
It helps me.
Oh, good.
So thank you.
Excellent. You're very welcome.
I love it.
And there's our digital episode for the month.
There you go.
All right. Hey, thanks everybody for listening. You can find out more about the show, TakeControlOrganizing.com. Subscribe for free in iTunes. Best way to make sure you don't miss a single episode of ADHD organizing goodness.
That's right.
And until next week, I'm Pete Wright. That's Nikki Kinzer, and we'll catch you on Taking Control, the ADHD podcast.